Hi guys, welcome to another video. So it's a beautiful morning here in the mountain kingdom of Lesotho, and today I want to give you guys a full tour of my farm in its current state. I grew up on a permaculture food forest, and I'm trying to build a similar homestead on the land that I purchased 5 years ago. So my philosophy is simple, and it's that after buying the land, one should engage in both short and long-term activities that will help build the home later on. So I grow food for consumption and for the market as well. So let's take a look at what's happening on the farm. So by the fence over here, I have a bit of wheat growing, and it's at that stage where it's almost at maturity and will be ready for harvest quite soon. And the birds are already plucking some of the grains, but that's okay. They never completely decimate a crop over here, so there'll be plenty to harvest quite soon. So my dad marked out contours all those years ago after I bought the land, and there's a swale on each one of the 3 contours. These have been great in helping me with stormwater retention and in preventing further erosion. My land is right across the road from home, and just to show you how bad the erosion was coming from my field, these rocks used to be fence posts, believe it or not. And just look at how much soil has collected around them here over all those years, and most of it was coming from my field. So these swales are great in helping with controlling all that erosion, and are also rather helping me collect soil from other people's fields. So on this first swale, I have some fruit trees and a patch of strawberries growing. It's not that big, but the few strawberries that I get here while working on the farm are always a great snack. It looks like I'll also have a few peaches this year. Last year I didn't get any due to the frost, and I lost a few fruit trees to theft after planting them a few years ago, and a few also died due to an accidental fire, but these that are left are doing okay. So from this first swale begins my permanent beds and paths. I have 13 beds in total, and on the first 3 beds I have planted onions, and all these beds are on contour and will get longer and longer as the video progresses. And when designing the layout of these beds, it was very important for me to have permanent paths in between as well for flexible movement, and so that I'm not constantly unnecessarily trampling on soil that I plant on when moving around the farm. Some people look at how my farm is designed and say that it's a waste of space that could have been used to grow more stuff, without really thinking about the long-term effects of not having these paths. And besides, these paths not only help with improving the health of my soil by avoiding unnecessarily compacting the soil by walking on it, they also collect water when there are storms, further aiding the swales, enabling me to collect more water on the farm and just allow it to sink into the soil. And I learned from one of the best, from my dad, that we must not just keep on taking and taking from nature, but we must also always consider giving back. And you know, one of the principles of permaculture also is to value the marginals. And these paths help me apply this principle because weeds and grass grow on the paths, and when I mow, I can collect the clippings and make compost. So moving on the next bed, I've planted peas, which we've been harvesting for a while now. I actually gotta remove these now because they're getting a lot of powdery mildew on them. But in between, I've intercropped here some green beans and beetroots as well. So that brings us to the fifth bed where I've planted some alfalfa. Every third bed from now on is planted to alfalfa. But before I explain why I've planted alfalfa on these beds, just look at this, guys. This is alfalfa that I love on and nurture and take care of and weed and everything. And look at this one, this single volunteer growing here on one of my paths. It's so lush and big, and I can barely even wrap my arms around it. This goes to show how much nature thrives when it's left alone. Unbelievable, right? So guys, the reason why I've planted alfalfa on these beds is because I want to plant more fruit trees, probably some nuts and berries as well on those. And if you guys will remember, I promised to plant a tree for every comment that I got on another video that I posted sometime last year, and I'm busy propagating those trees right now, and this is where they'll go. I just want to propagate my own trees, so I'm taking it quite slowly because it's quite a cost-effective way to go around doing it. So I do need you guys to be a little bit patient. And I planted this lucerne, or rather known as alfalfa, here because I love lucerne. I have quite a number of uses for it. I also love the color, the lushness of its greenness, and also the purple blooms. And guys, that brings us to bed number 6. Over here I have these 3 rows of onions, and intercropped here I have some English giant rape, which is just coming up over here on this row. And on this row I have some bell peppers coming up. So this is all a row of bell peppers going to the end of the bed, and also extending all the way from the beginning of this bed. And that brings us to bed number 7, I believe. And over here I have more onions, which I planted successionally from the other ones for a more continuous harvest. So they also extend all the way from the beginning of this bed. And the next one is bed number 8, and over here I have more alfalfa. Like I said, that I've planted it every 3rd bed from the first one that I've showed you. So more trees will grow here in the upcoming future. And on the next bed, which is number 9, I believe, is potatoes, and I have some drip line running here for irrigation. So I'm loving this crop. It's doing quite well. And my dad did a workshop on this bed, and the people that were hilling the first row didn't do quite a good job, hence the bit of weeds, but I'll get those taken care of. And on the next bed here we have some cabbages, and I spoke a bit about these on the last video that I uploaded, that this is the only crop that is really struggling because of the diamondback moths, which are making growing the cabbages in the spring and summer quite challenging. And on the next bed over here, we have more alfalfa. This is bed number 11. So more trees will go there. And on bed number 12 here, I have more potatoes going all the way to the end of this bed. And I also have more drip lines set up here to irrigate these. And I love them, to be honest. They're quite beautiful, and they also go all the way from the beginning of this bed. And that brings us to the last bed, which is bed number 13. I just planted maize, beans, butternut squash, and some sunflower, all intercropped on this bed, and they haven't come up yet. And immediately after this last bed, this is the second and longest swale that we have on the farm here, and it extends all the way that way. And on the swale we have a number of trees that are already planted. This is a cherry tree that was recently planted. And moving further on the swale, this is a pecan nut, and up here is the second cherry tree that was planted at the same time as the other one. And as you move along the swale, there are more pecan nut trees. There's a second one here that we have. And as you move on along the swale, there is another pecan nut tree. And over here, this is a bay leaf tree, and it actually died over the winter. So a few weeks back, I said a prayer over it and just forgot about it for the next few weeks. So this is actually the first time that I'm seeing that it's actually coming back to life. So wow, I'm so happy. And over here on the west border of my fence, we have these pine trees planted sort of to create a living fence over there. And below them there's some lucerne, more alfalfa, and also some blueberries. So I used the straw from a previous crop to mulch them over the winter, and I'm glad to see that they are actually fruiting. So wow, it's gonna be amazing to have some blueberries. So yeah, this is the bed of mulch that I put on over the winter, just to give them a bit of protection so that they are not losing moisture the way they were before. So there is more alfalfa up here. So on the other side of that second swale that I showed you, I have a much rather bigger field, and over here I have some wheat, as you can see, and right next to the wheat here, this is a strip that I'm yet to plant. I'm planning on planting this one around December. And towards the right here, I just planted more potatoes. So I'm just waiting for the rain to come so that these can come up. So it's quite exciting. As you guys know from other videos, I plant my potatoes successionally so that I can spread the workload and the cash flow as well. So on this side, I have more potatoes growing that have already been held. And that leaves us with this last strip on my farm that I've actually never planted before. So that's a strip of virgin land over there. But just before you get there, we have this last swale over here going that way towards the end of the fence. And just behind it here is my dad's permaculture plot. This is where he likes to plant his stuff, but he's been so busy he hasn't gotten a chance to plant it this time around. So just behind it here we have the strip that I was telling you about just now. I've actually never gotten around to planting this area ever since I bought the land. But over here we have quite a number of medicinal plants that seem to be thriving over here. So this is one of them. This plant actually became famous for curing COVID, you know, during that time. And over here we have pistachio growing, which seems to be thriving and surviving the winters. So yeah, so that brings us to the end of this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, kindly give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And guys, if you aren't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Please smash that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell. And guys, I'll see you in the next one.